My name's Alphonzo Rawls, owner of Everybody Skates and Savalé Footwear, and this is Good Work.
Alphonzo Rawls is probably one of the most creative tranny skaters that I've ever witnessed. Like street ideas and approach on mini ramps.
Alf seemed like one of those guys that was just really pushing the limits and doing these really innovative tricks. He definitely was one of the first to do a lot of tech tricks on vert. And then he was just as good at skating streets.
Everybody in the house. Everybody in the house. Let me hear you say yeah, yeah.
Alphonzo Rawls skateboarding, very technical, very pioneering for a kid that had a natural talent. He made skateboarding look fun. We should always make life fun. I think that's what Alphonzo Rawls is very good at. When you see him skate a bank, he's having fun. When you see him skating vert, he's having fun. When you see him designing a board, he's having fun. So that's what life's all about, having fun.
Everybody skates. Every single thing I've ever seen is super cool and kind of underground, and you got to be kind of in the know, and it's always like, it's great art. I love it.
Everybody in the house.
Everybody Skates is my artist project. It started about 5 or so years ago. Never intended for it to be a brand. I was just photoshopping images of celebrities skateboarding and sharing them on social media. And it started kind of taking on a life of its own. I've started getting a lot of followers asking for me to put the designs that I was creating on t-shirts. Ignored it for a while until the buzz got a little bit too loud for me to ignore. So I thought, why don't I make a run of shirts? I caught the attention of Supreme in LA, which was managed by my friend Javier Nunez at the time. He asked if he can carry Everybody Skates in the shop. I'm like, absolutely. So it just started from there. How's it going?
What's up, Al?
Come on in.
Boards everywhere.
This is my wife's office where all the shipping happens. Everybody Skates is a family-run business. It's me, my wife, and then my 2 daughters put together all these boxes right here that the boards will be going in. The girls have been sitting here for the past 2 days, taping them up and getting them ready to go. So everybody's busy around here. You gotta earn your keep. Props out to the girls. Girl power. Yeah, this is the little home / office / factory. Here is my office where I spend many, many hours doing everything from designing footwear to graphics for Everybody Skates and client work for different shoe brands and different companies in need of graphic design or art. I get quite a bit done in this little bit of space, so this is where I spend most of my time. Shoes galore. Here's my box of samples that I just received from my footwear brand, Savalé. My job now is to take each one of these samples and scrutinize them. For instance, the idea was to have this toe cap match the gum rubber. The tone of the lacing is a little bit off, and so it's meant to match the rest of the upper. So those are notes that I'll be submitting back to the factory. That times 30, 40 shoes. Needless to say, I keep pretty busy. Oh yeah, did I tell you I used to skateboard? I used to ride them things. This is a shot by Dave Swift, 18 stair rail, 98 or so. We used to ride. Skateboarding has helped me in business in a couple of different ways. I mean, skateboarding, it's for the most part a really inconsistent sport, which means you definitely have to have some patience and some perseverance. It really parallels a lot of what has gone on with Everybody Skates, where it's like not every idea that I think of works, but it's that perseverance of kind of really chipping away at it and figuring things out and adjusting plans a little bit to make things work. It's taught me creativity, and so it allows me to think outside the box and apply that out of the box thinking to run my business. I've always been into fashion and creative fashion, anything from hip hop to punk rock inspired and everything in between. But when I really got into footwear design, it was because I was approached in '95 from an upstart footwear brand called Castell, and they gave me an opportunity to not only have my own signature shoe, but to design it as well. So I created 10 different designs and presented them to the team, trying to decide which one of these best represents me and what I do. Out of that whole process, I was able to get my own signature shoe, and then there was a whole bunch of leftover designs that they saw value in, and so they end up utilizing that in their line as well. And so I was so sparked by that creative process, I just picked it up and ran with it. Every time there was designs to be done, I was there submitting designs. A couple of years after that, I got the opportunity to join Duff's Footwear, a head designer role and development role. It was a great education for me to go from applying my creativity to designing shoes to really understanding how shoes were made. And then from there, I understood more what was possible, what wasn't possible, and then got the opportunity to be the head designer at DC Shoes, which was awesome. Designing for a shoe brand that big and, at the forefront of the skateboard industry at the time was huge, not only to me, my personal desires to want to design for a brand that big, but also my credibility as a designer moving forward. I started getting a lot of requests from other footwear brands that wanted me to design shoes for them, and so I kind of just expanded from there. Here we are 25 years later, I'm still designing for select clients, and then I have my own footwear brand. I'm pretty amazed how things transpired just from the opportunity of having my own signature shoe. Now I'm in the position to have my own brand called Savalé, and I'm able to make all the shoes that I've always wanted to do. Like all the stuff that I couldn't get away with for different clients, I'm able to create them now. So if I want to do a dress shoe that sits on a cross trainer bottom, I can do that. If I want to make the world's best skateboard shoe, I'm still fine tuning some of the details to this, but man, this is going to be an awesome skate shoe. It's got a cool lace saver feature that you can lace behind this flap so you don't rip your laces. It's got a sock liner construction, so it hugs your feet, it feels snug on your feet. It's got a midsole as well as a lateral stabilizer, and the sole design was inspired by these two pivot points being your heel and the ball of your feet, and this rippling effect, almost kind of like dropping a pebble into a pond and watching the ripples just meet up. I really love doing these hybridized projects, right, where you take a basketball shoe and try to make a wallaby version of that or whatever. And so that's kind of what I try to do here, to create, one of those things that you have to kind of look at and think about for a while. Exploring some less charted waters in this orange colorway. This is definitely on the horizon, kind of almost like the mid-90s when people started wearing red shoes, but before that it was like, oh, that's wild. I'm feeling orange lately, so I might have to put some out there. When I initially came up with the idea to start making skateboard decks, I wanted to create a parody brand where I made these fictitious names of fake pros. And so the first idea that I came up with was this Mike Hawk design, right? Where I combined Tony Hawk with Mike McGill and some of their classic graphics from the 80s. This Alf cab was the first official collab where I took inspiration from Cab's Dragon graphic and combined it with Alf, the 80s sitcom that became my mascot in a way. I did a play off of the name Half Cab, which is Steve Caballero's shoe for Vans. I showed it to Steve and he was stoked on it, and so it quickly went from the idea of creating a parody brand to teaming up with pros where it's a joint collab. So what that allowed me to do was to have signatures, included onto these boards. After this, I approached Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk with this idea of doing the Hosoi, where I'm combining, Christian Hosoi with Tony Hawk. They were thrilled by the concept as well, and they were on board with doing a collaboration with me, and so we did this, real limited runs. I'm stoked to think of this idea that helps to expand the narrative or the definition of everybody skates, and it makes sense for my history as a skateboarder and being able to connect with a lot of legends.
It speaks to your track record and your relationships that everyone agrees to do it.
Right.
Because I can't say that anyone else could just put these together and make phone calls and be like, yeah, I'm down, sure. There's no way.
Yeah, no, very true. I'm definitely thankful for that. A lot of what I do really caters to me and people like me. They see this and it takes them back to the 80s and 90s when they were a kid and they remembered the rivalry between Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk, and that was everything. We had Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk posters on the wall, and you know, some of us chose sides, like, are you in the Tony Hawk camp or are you in the Hosoi camp? This means something to me, and I'm so stoked that it means so much to so many people that grew up in this era that really are excited about these collabs that I'm doing, so the Hosoi. And then from there, I always had this idea to create a Ray Barbie's ragdoll graphic swinging on the pole from Matt Hensley's first graphic with 8th Street.
What an honor to do a project with, you know, not only Alf, who I've got a lot of respect for, but to do it with Matt Hensley, who there's a huge respect for. What both of those guys have brought to skateboarding and how they've inspired me. You know.
The Gons and Tommy Guerrero, I was super stoked that they wanted to be a part of the collab that I was doing as well. So here it is, the Tommy Gonzalez board. To be able to facilitate this collab project that I've been doing is just, it's such a thrill for me. This is a one-off, this is the only one that exists. I love this thing, man. Yeah, I'm a skate nerd. My partner in Everybody Skates is my wife, actually. It's a pretty awesome setup that we have going on. I mean, my wife is just on it. I mean, I can't figure out a better business partner to have. I'm the creative department, and she, you know, handles just about everything else, to be honest with you. Check out the Rawls, we work around here.
When there is a drop like that, there's a lot of product that has to be moved, you know, as soon as possible. So I just kind of have my kids come in and they tape boxes, or they, you know, help move things around, and, you know, they're on the payroll, so make it a family affair.
There's a lot of lessons that we pass on to our kids about, you know, self-worth and, you know, being able to create something with your own intellectual property and how to run a business that they're not really taught in school. It's a rad privilege for us to be able to be in the position that we're in to operate these businesses, so it's perfect, no complaints.
Alphonzo's an amazing person. His skateboarding is incredible, and to be part of a project with him is always fun. It's always done with good detail. Our passions coming together, obviously Alf and his art, design. When you get us all together and do something that has all those elements, I think it can't help but be something spectacular.
Well, modern day Alf is just as gnarly as back in the day Alf. I mean, the dude still rips. But also, over the years, he's become a really renowned artist, and I think his artwork matches the talent that he had on a skateboard. It's very clean, it's very precise, very innovative. I can tell he's a perfectionist, and he just wants to produce really great quality work, you know, and he stands behind the work, the intention, and the creativity. I mean, the dude is amazing on and off the board.